is the only lady in the panel, but the most powerful. Yeah. So, and also let me dispel the rumor, no, that I don't have lady friends, no, because as I've said in the beginning, that all the panel members are my friends, no, but I also have lady friends, and our next panelist is also one of them, no, because we used to work together. She was prior to her new stint as associate professor at the Ateneo University. She also served as a chief of party like me in an energy policy and development program of USAID. So Maha, Dr. Maha, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Henry. Good afternoon, everyone. First, many thanks to John Forbes and the organizing team of Arangkada Forum for this opportunity to be part of this prestigious forum and to be with highly esteemed panelists this afternoon. I'm going straight to the point. In our studies, cross-country evidence shows a strong negative correlation between foreign direct investment inflows and electricity prices. Using Philippine region as unit of analysis, we also found that higher electricity prices appear to reduce the share of industry in regional gross domestic product. So the question is, why are electricity prices high in the Philippines? Numerous studies have already cited several reasons. One is low generation capacity due to less than efficient legacy power plants that were procured under IPP contracts, which were long-term, expensive contracts with take-or-pay provisions. Another is the value-added tax, the feed-in tariffs and missionary charges, the conflicting goals between EPIRA and the Renewable Energy Act of 2008, and cumbersome bureaucracy when undertaking investment in generation and putting up power plants. Given all this, what are the key reforms needed for the sector? Let me offer some recommendations coming from the studies that we have done in the past 6 years or so. First is to facilitate a more competitive environment by letting the market work with full implementation of RCOA, or Retail Competition Open Access. The Department of Energy's stance on technological neutrality is consistent with this. The end goal of setting up a competitive retail sector at the household level signifies the completion of the reforms spelled out in EPIRA. This has been delayed for more than a decade now, and we should not delay it any further. Second is the reconciling to seemingly contradicting instruments, EPIRA and the RE law, as I've said earlier. The main conflict between the two laws lies in how certain provisions of the RE law seem to run counter to EPIRA's goals of affordability of the supply of electric power, reasonable prices, and competitiveness. Reconciliation would be to address the negative environmental and health effects of carbon emissions from fossil fuel-based power generation through pollution taxes. That is, we should be directing policy right at the source of the harmful spillovers. The coal and petroleum excise taxes in the 2017 tax reform addresses a big part of this, although it is still incomplete. Existing subsidies should be phased out in favor of facilitating a transition to technological neutrality as determined by the least social cost, meaning including pollution costs. Since the current feed-in tariff rules involve several bureaucratic hurdles and de facto quotas, they may actually be retarding the transition to cleaner energy. The recent pronouncement of DOE Secretary Cusi on the removal of feed-in tariff is a step in the right direction. At the Joint Congressional Energy Commission meeting last April 27, Sec Cusi made the recognition that the Philippines cannot afford to give subsidies to RE producers. Third is the coordination in investment generation, transmission, and distribution. A well-conceived master plan that accounts for the current assessment of the industry and provides incentive-compatible arrangement will attract investors to bet on the country for the long term. The stability and consistency of government policies are important to fostering and encouraging private investment in power generation. Fourth is for the government to invest in transmission highway when it is able to do so. Financing and investment should be separate from the regulatory structure of transmission tariffs. Investment in transmission expansion offers enormous potential benefits for efficiency by increasing access to low-cost generation, improving reliability, and mitigating market power. Government should be able to finance this investment when it has the fiscal space as it has enjoyed before the pandemic. Fifth is generators have market power in localities. Having a formal active forward market in place of bilateral contract can potentially help increase competition even with a concentrated generation market. Last but not the least is that reform of electric cooperative. Electric cooperative must be transformed along corporatist lines of one share, one vote, which incentivizes greater efficiency and attention to the bottom line. I'll stop here and we can elaborate more later in the open forum. Thanks, Henry.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Maha. So in the beginning, I asked DDG Ness a question, so he answered it. But let me go back to DDG Ness for his main presentation. DDG Ness, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. Thank you for this opportunity to make a brief presentation. I promise to keep it to 5 minutes.
In the house, I'm trained to give the last word to the lady. Okay, so now I will have to ask the last question to Dr. Maha. Maha, can you make a quick assessment of the competitive retail electricity market where power can be bought for less than 4 pesos per kilowatt hour, which is 1/5 of what is paid to Meralco?
Okay. First of all, our COA at the household level signifies the completion of EPIRA, as I said earlier. The end goal of establishing a competitive retail sector at the household level should actually have been realized in 2007, but the contestability program only began in December 2012. Okay, so last year in 2020, ERC brought down contestability to customers with 500 kilowatt average monthly consumption. So when you say contestable customers, they have the power of choice whether to remain captive or buy electricity from retailers. Note that the less than 4 pesos, this is just the generation charge. Okay, so those customers who are buying electricity from retail suppliers, they still have to pay distribution, transmission, and all other charges. Nonetheless, the 4 pesos generation charge is lower than the generation charge to a captive customer. And this is really expected, no, because it's a sign that competition is working. In the US, there is a study conducted by Christensen in 2016 comparing US states that have retail choice vis-a-vis traditional. And they found that retail prices are lower by 2%. Okay, so in Japan, I think the implementation of retail competition is also by phase, but they are able to follow their prescribed schedule. And once we get down to the household level, I am sure that there will be application, platforms similar to Grab that we have now. It will resurface matching customers with the retailers. So in Japan, Australia, and New Zealand, competition is very fierce, and some retailers are even offering free iPad just for customers to switch to them. So in the Philippines, we have Exora. You can Google this. This is a platform actually started by Ateneo students, and they match customers with the supplier and try to see their energy flow profile. I think what we have now in the Philippines, this is the official one. You can Google buyyourelectricity.com.ph. So they match customers. Again, these are just the contestable customers to potential electricity suppliers. So I hope that we can complete the reforms. EPIRA is not yet complete. So until we get down to the household level, then the reform for the electricity sector, that's the time that we say that it has been completed.
Okay, thank you very much, Maha. This panel session is from 1:30 to 3. Time check, it's 2:59, so we still have 1 minute. But I was informed that because of the good discussion that we are having here, that we have been extended by another 5 minutes. So let me raise this question from the participants. Senator Gatchalian, Chair of Senate Energy Committee, shows a slide on the permitting of new power plants. Dr. Abago stated this factor in the high price of electric power. Is ARTA, so this is a question, I think this is directed to DDG Ness. Is ARTA doing something about this unfortunate situation? DD Gines, would you like to respond?
Yes, in fact, just recently, the Department of Energy has given back to us a draft of the memorandum of agreement between the Anti-Red Tape Authority and the Department of Energy to cover the energy sector, because the energy sector is one of the priority programs under the program MIA of the Anti-Red Tape Authority. Program MIA is a program approved by the President, which requires all agencies to reduce the requirements by at least 52%, and also by the processing days time by also 52%. While the energy has its own EVOS law, the electronic virtual one-stop shop, it is a separate law aside from the ease of doing business law. We have approached the Department of Energy for us to partner with the department to help them facilitate, expedite the processing of permits to cover the energy.
Okay. All right. Thank you, DD Gines. Bill, can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Okay. So, what do you think are the most significant new laws or programs enacted in recent years that increase business efficiency and reduce cost? And just a follow-up question to that, of course, if you, I can repeat it again later, but what do you think should be new laws and programs that should be enacted in the next Congress?
Well, let me single one out right now, which is the process by which the applications for new cell sites has been sped up. And it was not a